Hi. This is Novel Admire. Welcome to my channel. Have fun. Divine Emperor of Death. Chapter 1. Yes. I finally managed to obtain it. A person with a hoarse voice exclaimed, full of exhaustion. He looked haggard with a face full of wrinkles, yet young at the same time, like a youth who has aged much. His hair was white while his nose sharp and his lips dried. It's been 10 years since I, Jianlong, managed to obtain the Death Note. I have only used it to kill my one and only enemy back then, and I haven't used it since then. He sighed, feeling the passage of time. Walking out of the cave, he proceeded to get off the mountains to go to the airport. It's time to go back to my homeland to pull off this crazy idea that has been gnawing at my heart since 8 years ago. After arriving at the airport, Jianlong boarded the airplane and returned to China. After going to his home, he started having second thoughts about his plan at the last minute. It's do or die. I don't have much of a choice. I don't have much time to live in this world anyways. Jianlong comforted himself. He packed his things and went out of the house. Alright, it's time to leave this world. Silently muttering that, Jianlong left for the place ancient temple that has many rumors, including that it's connected to another world. Honestly, my chances of crossing over are pretty low, way low. I only thought of this idea because having only few more years left to live makes me feel useless and empty. I want to live more. After arriving at the ancient temple, he searched the whole day for any unusual signs. This place is pretty abandoned, yet it's kept clean. Why is that? Jianlong muttered. After seeing that he hasn't found anything for today, Jianlong decided to sleep. Just as he was sleeping in his tent, a sound startled him awake. Who's there? Jianlong shouted. Whoa! Don't startle me, old man, the young man exclaimed. Hearing that he was called old man, Jianlong's eyes started twitching. Who are you, little man? Jianlong asked, even though he knew the answer. Me? I'm Yi. Why are you here? I'm hired by the nearby temple to clean this place every week and patrol once in a while. Hearing that, Jianlong was astonished. Wasn't this place abandoned? Yeah, it was, but it's now the property of the nearby temple. They bought it a month ago. Oh, I see. Jianlong said. Now that you understand that it's a private property, shouldn't you be leaving? Yi asked. Yeah, once it's done I'll leave. It's pretty late right now. Reasonable. I don't want you camping out here tomorrow, old man. Just leave. Alright, then Yi left the ancient temple. Still, what is he doing here at night? Does he have a rendezvous with a woman or something? Jianlong chuckled. Looks like I don't have any time left to sleep. This old body of mine can't take this anymore. Shouting in his mind, Jianlong started searching the place again. Switching on the torchlight, Jianlong started looking around for any kind of unusual signs in the place he hasn't searched yet. An hour has passed since he continued his search. Moving around, Jianlong entered a room. He came in front of a wall and started tapping around. Tock tock, tock tock, tock tock. A muffled kind of sound echoed across the room. Yes. Found it. He pushed that certain part of the wall which created the muffled sound. An underground door opened in the room, which made Jianlong check it immediately. He checked for some traps for some time. He couldn't find any, which made him feel a bit better. Jianlong started moving down the underground door. He climbed down a lot of stairs and arrived in front of an iron door. Jianlong stared at the switch right beside the iron door and pulled it down. The iron door opened up and Jianlong entered the underground area. Jianlong gasped in astonishment as he saw the unknown formation. The outer circle was spherical in shape while the inner circle was oval in shape with an eye in it. Oh, this must be the formation which makes this place unusual. Jianlong walked towards the formation and arrived at the center of the formation. That's a creepy looking eye. Alright, I should probably be in the center of this formation to increase my chances. Jianlong took out a stone which emitted a faint green and purplish light. The transmigration stone. Jianlong's eyes shone brightly. If the nearby temple people knew if that I had the stone, would they become mad? Jianlong laughed loudly. Jianlong then walked to the stone which looked like a podium. Hee hee, An obvious place to keep the switch to activate the formation. I like it. The switch was half spherical in shape and it kept glowing. Does this mean they have charged this formation already? Perfect. Tianlong exclaimed. The formation takes at least 2 years to charge, which Tianlong didn't know about. If he knew, he certainly wouldn't have approached this place. But, why did they charge this formation? It can't be that they are warmly welcoming me? Is it? Tianlong was deeply in doubt and couldn't help but joke. HMPH, thinking about this is useless. After I activate this formation, either I die or live in another world. Tianlong stopped wasting time thinking about it. Tianlong took out the death note as he sighed. It's time. Tianlong took out a pen and wrote in the death note. Tianlong, death by heart attack. Tianlong activates the formation, and during the space-time travel his soul jolted out from his body. His soul then enters the transmigration stone. After the space-time travel ends, his soul possesses a body that is weak below 20 years of age using the transmigration stone, and after 5 minutes dies of heart attack. Tianlong drew a cold breath. The death note can control and kill people to a certain extent, meaning that it is capable of attacking the soul. Since it can control people, it should be able to control the soul to an extent. It's fine. I will be tying the transmigration stone behind my head. There's not much distance between my soul and the stone, so it shouldn't be a problem for the death note to succeed, if only my theory is correct. Damn. Stop getting cold feet already. I've done it now. There's no going back. Tianlong made a determined face and started the formation. As the underground area trembled, space-time fluctuations appeared. The formation had activated a space-time passage. Tianlong went to the center of the formation immediately and left his fate to luck. Goodbye, Earth. Tianlong was absorbed into the space-time tunnel and suffered a fate extremely bad than people getting crushed by a huge rock. He was pressured by the spatial tunnel. He felt like his body was being grinded by thousands of blades. Why isn't this spatial tunnel not stable? I'm doomed. Tianlong saw his hand being disintegrated by the spatial turbulence. Ha ha, it's over. Just when his shoulder started to disintegrate, Tianlong's soul jolted out of his body and entered the transmigration stone. Tianlong didn't notice that his death note being shredded to dust. A black book spirit flew out from it and entered the transmigration stone. Tianlong then saw his body being disintegrated into nothingness, which made him nauseous and puke, but he couldn't as he was in his soul form. The transmigration stone then flew in the space tunnel and made it to the other side of the tunnel. Tianlong couldn't count how much time has passed. He was listless through the whole journey, mourning the loss of his body and the death note. The transmigration stone flew out of the spatial tunnel. Tianlong arrived to a brand new world. Meanwhile on Earth, who activated the formation? The head priest of the nearby temple flew into an anger fit and started breaking the nearby furniture. Check the abandoned temple immediately. The head priest shouted out loud. Many people ran away to check the abandoned temple quickly. The head priest then calmed down after a minute and then harumphed. HMPH, I don't know who activated the formation, but traveling in it is useless. Countless experiments has been made and we don't even know if a person has managed to reach the other side. Sometimes the body disintegrates even before one enters that incomplete and unstable formation. It is totally useless. What do you mean by useless? A voice could be heard coming out of a bald man who appeared out of nowhere. We have confirmed that it is indeed connected to another world through various means. If only we had the transmigration stone which can hold a soul, we might be able to reach the other side. The bald man sighed. HMPH. What use is there to have the stone? If you can't move the soul to the stone, it is still useless. Hey, you may not have a method to move your soul, but I do, the bald man sneered. Too bad, the transmigration stone appears every 1,000 years and it should have appeared by now considering the last appearance of it. Quick, search for it. I know, the head priest replied. A man came running quickly. Head priest, we found Yi outside the temple and he. The man hesitated. He what? The head priest was impatient. He. The man's face was full of black lines. Quick, tell. He was fucking the woman under the tree nearby the abandoned temple and escaped once he saw us. The head priest was stunned while the bald man started laughing out loud. Kill both of them and feed them to the dogs. He. Head priest. What? That woman. Is your illegitimate daughter. The head priest sprayed a mouthful of blood and fainted while the bald man laughed out loud madly. Chapter 2. The transmigration stone disintegrated, which caused the green purplish glow to wrap around Jianlong's soul. The glow then traveled somewhere faster than the speed of light. At a place few kms away from the stone which appeared in the air few moments ago. Not good, he's not going to make it. A middle-aged man sighed, full of sadness. That middle-aged man was wearing a blue armor with a tiger imprinted on it. It was quite damaged. He's been in coma ever since you found him. Is it even worth to care that much for a child you don't have relations with, Gray? Another middle-aged man with the same blue armor asked. I picked him up, then I should be the one to take care of him. Shut your mouth, Mel. Gray snapped back at him. He had an irritated expression. That's it. Enough of your bullshit, Gray. You don't even do the things Captain commanded properly. All you do is take care of that child. Is that child your illegitimate son? Mel couldn't help but find trouble with Gray. I know you have some enmity with me, Mel. Stop finding fault with me time and time again. If you have the guts, let's fight. Gray unsheathed his sword out of his scabbard. You think I am afraid of you? I'll show you who's after the captain in this blue tiger mercenaries. Mel also unsheathed his sword and took a pose to fight. Hearing that he indirectly accepted the fight, Gray shot out with an unbelievable speed for his cultivation base. He created a blinding light with his sword which covered the whole area with brightness. What? A battle technique? Mel almost peed his pants when he saw this. He didn't move since he couldn't see as his eye was blinded by the light. And at this moment the glow, which was dimmed by the brightness emitted, shot to the child who stopped breathing just now. Both of them didn't notice it. Mel opened his eyes only to see a sword in front of his neck. He could feel his life slipping out of his hands. He started shivering out of fear. I think I had enough of you, moron, Gray said. Just when he was going to slice his head off, a voice could be heard. Wait. TCH, it's the captain, Gray muttered and backed off. Jianlong started feeling warm. Is the transmigration stone healing this body? Jianlong thought, still not accepting the fact that this is his own body from now on. Ha ha, I'm saved. I'm saved. Captain, Gray was going to kill me for real. Kill him, he's a traitor, Mel exclaimed, full of happiness, and framed him. Is that so? The captain walked to where Mel was standing. Just when Mel thought that he could get his revenge, a punch appeared in front of his face. The captain hit him with force. He flew 2 meters away from where he was standing and crashed on the wall. Boom. Why? Mel muttered, dumbfounded. You think I don't know your ploys? How many times have I told you not to mess with Gray? Gray, please forgive my nephew Mel, he won't do this again, and I will personally handle the punishment for him. Gray nodded his head and didn't say anything. He could only accept his hardships out here. By the way, did you see anything glowing around here? The only thing glowing here was my sword, not they. Alright, the captain stopped giving information. He thought he had found a treasure and wasn't willing to share with anyone. Jianlong, who possessed his new body, started sweating when he heard this. Not because he heard the captain mention about the glow, but because he couldn't understand anything they said. Is my fate so worse? Of all the weak people out there, why a child? I couldn't even take care of myself in this state, I'm doomed. Jianlong had a listless expression on his face. Jianlong looked upwards the cloudy sky, which looked like his own fate, gloomy as ever. He quickly made a determined face to keep on living in this world, which was quite cute in itself. Gray turned around and returned to where Jianlong was lying down. He was astonished to see that the child was awake. Kid. Can you hear me? Are you fine? Gray shouted in excitement. Calm down, Gray, he's just a kid who was in coma since the time you found him. Do you expect him to talk? The captain chuckled. Alright, I just lost myself in happiness, sorry. Alright, Take care of the kid, I got things to do. The captain bid farewell. What the hell are these guys talking about? I can't understand, what language is that? Tianlong thought. Suddenly Tianlong's globulus started throbbing painfully. Ugh. Kid. What's wrong? Oh no. Gray started to get worried again. What is this black thing in front of my eyes? Tianlong kept holding his head until he fainted of pain. Gray checked his pulse and sighed. He's just fainted, thankfully. This child sure does like to keep me hanging on a thread. Gray laughed ruefully. It's almost this child's 3rd birthday, good thing he woke up before that or else I would have had my head sliced off. Then Gray carried Tianlong to his room and made him sleep in his bed. Gray then sat before the table and wrote a letter. He then stood beside the window and whistled. A pigeon flew through the window and stood on Gray's hands. He then tied the letter to the pigeon's leg. The pigeon then flew away from him to its destination. That's about it, my mission is finally going to be over soon, I guess, if everything goes smoothly. It's been almost 3 years since I left the Empire, hopefully the tide has crossed over, and if it hasn't then we'll both die. Gray laughed truthfully and then slept on the floor. Chapter 3. After 3 days had passed, Tianlong still hasn't woken up. He suffers from headaches time to time, which almost looks like he was suffering from a nightmare. What happened to this kid? Is he suffering from something? But the physician I hired told he was perfectly healthy for his age, which is unusual in itself because he's been in coma from the time he was born. Is the heavens helping us? Gray found it difficult to understand this situation. Whatever, I'll just report it to the higher-ups. Gray opened the door and left the room. After a few moments of silence in the room, a child opened his eyes. He looked clean considering the situation he was in, probably cleaned by the physician or someone who took care of him. Where am I? What is this place? Why aren't I dead? Tianlong had a lot of doubts, but the most he worried about was, what the hell is this black thing in my soul? Wait, I can sense my soul? Tianlong was utterly confused. Alright, calm down me, if I think calmly, I will be able to make sense of this situation, Tianlong whispered to himself. Tianlong took a deep breath to calm himself down. He started connecting the dots. The death node was destroyed in that spatial tunnel, so I can no longer use it, but the black thing in my soul looks like a book. Is it the death note? But if it followed me into this world, then it should have been able to kill me after exiting the spatial tunnel. If it didn't kill me, then I was right. The death note is restricted by the laws of universe. This universe probably needs time to detect the arrival of an unknown object, so the death node was able to fulfill the condition of me being able to obtain a weak body below 20 years old. But it wasn't able to kill me after 5 minutes, meaning the death note either should have been destroyed or reset according to the laws of this universe. But if this black thing is the death note, how was it able to infuse into my soul? Is it because I am the owner? Yup, this should have been the case. It somewhat makes sense of the situation. Even though Tianlong had many doubts, he was able to make sense of this situation. Tianlong got out of the bed, and just when he tried to walk, he fell down. What? He tried to stand up, but he couldn't, so he crawled his way to the mirror in the corner of the room. He looked around. 36 inches, has fair skin, has a pair of blue eyes that looks adorable, while his face looked emaciated. His short blonde hair was messy. Has a tiny frame that is normal for 3-year-old children. A 2 or 3-year child? An orphan. I guess it's alright since I can perfectly blend into this environment. I don't know who you are, but sorry for possessing your body. I'm not going to make any excuses since I indirectly killed you. Tianlong didn't know that this child was in coma from the time he was born and was going to die 3 days ago. I swear that I will live your part as well. Tianlong had complex feelings about killing an innocent child. After Gray left the room, he headed for the captain's room. Knock, come in, a voice could be heard from inside. Greek, oh, Gray, what's the matter? Captain, it's time I left the mercenaries. There was a moment of silence in the room. Sigh, did the 3-year period come to an end already? Time sure flies fast. Yes, I thank you for taking care of me and the mercenaries. The reward will be given once the people from the Empire comes to pick me up. Taking care of you? Protecting a man with a cultivation base higher than mine? You must be jesting. Is it the child? The captain chuckled. You've already figured it out? I have been together with you for almost 3 years, yes. If I can't even figure that out, I should just retire from being a mercenary. Good thing you told me this just now. If it were a month ago, I would have been forced to kill you. Is it in order? Yes. The Lord Empire sure is scary, considering that it managed to survive and execute the noble families which participated in the rebellion. What? The Lord family has managed to quell the rebels? Yes, I just received this news 2 days ago. Gray stood shivering from excitement. From this, both of us have survived. Gray heaved a sigh of relief. Then I'll return to my quarters, Captain. Alright. Creak. Gray opened the door to his room and stepped in. He almost got a heart attack. Where's the child? Gray unsheathed his sword and quickly rushed in. At the corner of the room, Tianlong hurriedly turned back his head and saw Gray rushing into the room. Ray Nolan, that's his name, huh? Seems like I still possess the Death God's eyes, then that means that I still have the Death Note with me. Ray heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the child was still there, albeit trying to do something. Tianlong immediately started putting on an act with a cute face. Considering that I was sleeping in a bed, this guy should have been the one taking care of me, and it's not far-fetched for a 3-year-old orphan to not know how to talk. Ray immediately walked towards the child and carried him up. Huh? Will I get beheaded for the prince not knowing how to talk? Ray got scared a little. Probably not. Tianlong had no idea what this guy was talking about because he still couldn't understand any of it. Dude, please talk in a language I know. Tianlong wished lamentably. Child, it's almost time for you to return to the Empire, and there you can start learning the language of the world. Ray started lecturing the child, even though he knows that the child can't understand it because his life depended on it. The lecture continued for 10 minutes, which almost exhausted Tianlong. Chapter 4. After an hour had passed by, outside the Blue Tiger Mercenary headquarters. Oi, look at the sky! A random person exclaimed. Where? Another person questioned. In the sky, a big silhouette can be seen above the clouds. It's a dragon. Another person exclaimed. The dragon's going to destroy the town. Everyone run! That random person exclaimed in fear upon seeing such a silhouette. Idiot, that's a wyvern, another knowledgeable person commented after seeing the silhouette come down from above the clouds. The wyvern was 12 meters long, long-faced with a razor-sharp teeth. On its back was a 30-year-old man dressed in shiny red armor. His face was valiant with vigor. He exuded an aura that is capable of suppressing almost all the people down there. He scanned the area and spotted the Blue Tiger Mercenary sign on a building. He headed to that direction. The wyvern then landed in front of the Blue Tiger Mercenary headquarters. The captain of the Royal Guards, Renard, commands the captain of the Blue Tiger Mercenaries to come out. That man then shouted out loud, which shocked many people because he belonged to the Royal Guard. Oh my God, what is the Royal Guard doing out here? Many people started whispering to others. The members of the Blue Tiger Mercenaries didn't dare to lash back at him. They could only wait in silence. The captain then came out of the building and hurriedly bowed to Renard. Noel of the Blue Tiger Mercenaries, at your service. Noel thought to himself, wow, the Empire sure is establishing their authority all over the country. Is Gray he? Before Renard can finish his sentence, he saw Gray coming out of the building with a child on his back. Renard glanced at Noel and uttered, good, you will surely be rewarded with riches. It's been a long time, Renard smiled. Hearing that, a smile crept upon Ray's face as well. Yes, brother. Then the both of them bear hugged lightly and laughed. Is the royal prince fine? Yes, as you can see. Alright, let's leave this place then. Please do, I'm sick of this lifestyle. Ray laughed loudly. Ray then turned his head back. If you encounter any trouble, head to the Nolan family and drop my name, Ray Nolan. See you later, Noel. Ray bid farewell. Noel just stood there dumbfounded by this revelation. He thought to himself, all of them are big guys, I've struck it rich. When both of the brothers got on the wyvern, Noel shouted, "Don't forget your words, Ray." "No, Ray. I won't." Ray smirked. He had an amiable relationship with Noel. The wyvern then flew to the skies, heading to the royal capital. 6 hours later. A huge wall could be seen in the distance. Finally, we reached the capital with the help of this speedy wyvern. Ray spoke joyfully. The two had a lot to talk about, so they chatted the whole way. Meanwhile, Jianlong couldn't understand what they were saying, so he just gave up and enjoyed his first flight on the wyvern. Ah, the air is so fresh in this world. The sceneries are so beautiful. Am I on a vacation trip already? Jianlong felt that his choice to come to this world was the best one he ever made. The wyvern passed above the walls and headed to the royal castle. It then landed below the main entrance of the royal castle. The trio then entered the royal castle without any obstructions, as if they were the masters of this royal castle. They arrived in front of the throne hall in a short time. Just as they were going to request the audience of the emperor, the door opened and a young woman of extraordinary bearings came out with a worried face. Jianlong was shocked when he saw this kingdom-toppling beauty with rich bearings. She was 5 inches tall, her skin was fair, has almond royal purple eyes that are like 2 drops of wine. Her wavy, long-length blonde hair was gorgeous as ever. Her face is warm and graceful like a caring mother. She has a body that is perfectly refined with curves at its right place. She looked toward the child who was in middle, clasped hands with both the brothers. She slowly started running towards the child and hurriedly hugged him with all her might. "You're safe, thank goodness. I'm sorry that mother wasn't able to be with you all this time." The young woman started shedding tears of joy. Jianlong was dumbfounded being hugged by this woman. Even though he couldn't understand what she was saying, he could feel the warmth from the hug which he never got to experience in his previous life. Is this woman the mother of this child? Hearing the ravings from the mother of this child, he was again encroached by complex feelings of guilt and sadness. He almost couldn't hold his tears from dropping. A young man, who was full of joy, can be seen behind the young woman who is currently hugging Jianlong. He was 5 inches tall, his skin was fair, has royal sapphire eyes that emits a regal aura. His wavy, long-length black hair was lush as ever. Has a short beard. Has broad shoulders with quite a muscle that fits a ruler of an empire. "Finally, my son has returned safely," that young man said. The two brothers immediately got down on their knees. "We pay our respects to the emperor and the empress," they shouted in unison. "Good, stand up, follow me to the throne." The young man chose not to interfere with the mother and son reunion. The emperor then sat down on the throne. All of those who were in the throne hall bowed to show respect to the emperor. "Lift your heads. Ray, you've done a very great job of protecting my son in the time of chaos. I'll award you with the title of Duke, a duchy and 1,000 platinum coins." "It's my honor, Your Majesty." "Reynard, you did a great job of escorting them back safely." "It's a given, Your Majesty." At this time, the Empress walked into the throne hall carrying her child. Seeing the Empress, the Emperor nodded. "All right, Ray, explain the events that took place when you were protecting my son." "Yes, Your Majesty." Ray obeyed and explained the events that took place during his secret mission without hiding anything. After 20 minutes. "And that's all, Your Majesty." Ray concluded his report. "So, you are saying that my son just woke up 3 days ago?" Hearing this question, beads of sweat started to form on Ray's face as he gulped. Chapter 5. This, I swear on my noble name, what I've said is the truth, Your Majesty," Ray declared. There was a moment of silence in the throne hall which made the people fidgety. "This matter concerns my son, you won't blame me if I conduct investigations, right?" the Emperor asked. "I wouldn't dare, it is only your right to check the health and environment your son lived in, Your Majesty," Ray tactfully said. "Good, you're pardoned." Ray let out a sigh of relief when he was released from this harmless pressure. "Tonight, arrange a banquet, we're celebrating the return of my son, the royal prince." Yes, Your Majesty, the people shouted in unison. The Emperor and Empress left the throne hall and made their way to their private quarters. In the private quarters. Logan, I don't mind if the investigation is conducted or not, since it is advantageous to us that our son wasn't influenced by any weird or evil characters. The Empress was fine as long as her son was well and healthy. Yes, but there are a lot of questions left to be answered, such as how our son, who was in fatal danger 3 days ago, managed to recover healthily. Is it a miracle? Or an unknown expert decided to save our son with unknown motives? HMPH, if it was an unknown expert with good intention, I'll be surely thankful to him even in death. On the other hand, you sent our son to an unknown place that I don't even know about, and you won't even tell me about it. Claire, I had no other choice but to do that. It is for the absolute safety of our son. Even I didn't know where I sent him, not until that messenger pigeon arrived from Ray. Logan told the truth. What? Claire received a shock. All this time you were saying that you knew where you sent our son and that he is safe? You did this all to assure me? Claire had tears in her eyes. Yes, my love. Logan cupped her face. They looked into each other's eyes and slowly engaged in a passionate kiss. A minute passed. Gar. See. Ni-yai. Jianlong couldn't stand it anymore. After all, he was still a virgin. The both of them were startled, then looked at their son and burst laughing. After laughing till they were content, they hugged each other. I'm sorry, Claire whispered. It's fine, I know your sufferings. Logan comforted her. But I was stupid, heartless, all this time I ignored you. I know I was doing wrong. You didn't even look at other women, but I stopped paying heed to you. Tears started dropping out of Claire's eyes. It's my fault. Any mother would be angry if her son or daughter were taken away from her. Logan said. Claire felt guilty because she blamed everything that happened to her on Logan and ignored him almost for 3 years. After 5 minutes of warmth, the both of them then distanced from each other awkwardly. Obviously them reacting to their reaction of their lower part of their bodies and their son's gaze. Ha! Logan awkwardly laughed. Claire's face was red as she smiled, enchanting her with a bewitching smile. Logan was in a trance seeing her beautiful blushed face. He would have already jumped on her if it weren't for Tianlong kept gazing at them curiously. I feel sorry, but I won't let you guys do anything in front of me. Can you guys please do it somewhere else? Tianlong didn't have any weird fetishes. Cough cough, our child must be educated in the ways of the royalty. I'll arrange it now. Logan took another approach. No. I'll be the one to teach our child. Huh? I won't take no for an answer. 3 years, I wasn't with my child for 3 years. We missed the bonding period. I'm not sure if the child will wholeheartedly even accept us as his parents. Therefore, I will be with him until he finishes his education. Logan was dumbfounded. He realized that he fell into his own machinations. He buried himself with his own plan. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Claire and Logan readied Tianlong with a royal outfit. They didn't require the help of servants because this was the first time they were dressing Tianlong, their son. Tianlong felt embarrassed when Claire removed his pants, but he then realized that he was still a child. It made him even more embarrassed for having dirty thoughts. He then kept reminding himself that she is his mother, which he still hasn't come to terms with yet. Logan laughed when he saw him blushing, obviously misunderstanding with something else. Tianlong had complex feelings about being taken care of by a mother figure which he never experienced in his previous life. He felt warm and cozy. They then picked him up and went to the banquet hall. We welcome His Majesty. When people saw him coming into the banquet hall, they stood up, bowed and shouted in unison. At ease, my subjects, Logan acknowledged. Everyone then took their seats. This banquet is to celebrate the return of my son and the start of our prosperous empire. Glory to the Laureate Empire. Logan lifted his drink and drank, commemorating the start of the banquet himself. Glory to the Laureate Empire. The subjects also drank their drinks. Everyone enjoyed the banquet, and after a period of time, Your Majesty, isn't this the best time for that? The royal advisor, Hendrickson, commented. I guess it is, Logan muttered. Everyone, it is time for the main event of this banquet. The people in the banquet were silent. Logan looked at Claire, who was seated by his side. The both of them nodded together. I, the Emperor of Lauret Empire, Logan Lauret, hereby declare that the name of the first prince, my son, to be, Davis Lauret. Glory to the Empire, long live Davis Lauret! A person exclaimed. Everyone looked at Jianlong and started chanting his name loudly, which made the banquet end in high spirits. Today was also his 3rd birthday. From that moment, Jianlong knew that his name was Davis Lauret. Chapter 6. The next day. 7 a.m. Jianlong was very tired yesterday. He slept in his room. After that, his mother left him. He knew where she went and was very happy about it. He started shipping them from yesterday after all. The door opened and he could see a middle-aged woman dressed in maid clothes entering. She entered and brought him to the bath, undressed him and cleaned him. Jianlong was stiff the whole time. He didn't even dare to glance at the maid for a long time. After he was dressed up, the maid carried him up and made her way to the study. In the study, Claire was waiting for him to show up. Creak, the door opened and the maid let go of Jianlong. From inside, his mother smiled when she saw this. Davis, come to mommy. Jianlong was astonished to see her act cute like this. He quickly hid his astonishment and kept his appearance. He watched her curiously. Claire then repeated what she said with a gesture. Jianlong then carefully and slowly approached, like how a baby learned to walk for the first time. He was not acting, but it was really hard to move his body, which hasn't moved from birth. He didn't know that, but chalked it up as his soul synchronizing with his body. Claire opened her arms ready for a hug. Jianlong made his way to her and got enclosed by that warm feeling again. She hugged him tightly and wished that he will never disappear from her side again. Creak, the door was closed and the maid left the study. After a minute. Davis, your mother will take care of you and your education from now on. Let's start from the alphabets. Claire started teaching him the language of the world. A week has passed and he was already able to run and play. Jianlong could now understand simple conversations. The maids will deliver him food thrice a day and a bed has been set up in the study. He realized that he was absorbing knowledge quite fast. He chalked it up as his soul being powerful. His guess was correct this time. His soul was strengthened by the transmigration stone. Jianlong started to like his mother very much. She cared for him very much and played with him whenever he completed his assignment. He enjoyed playing with her. Maybe it was because of the body, but he felt like a child when he was with her. Davis, finish this assignment and then we can play. Yes, mother. This is going smoother than we expected. My son is able to quickly learn everything I say. He is a genius. Claire smiled proudly. She was able to approximately measure Jianlong's talent. Another week passed. Jianlong started to grow fond of his mother. He was now fluently able to talk. His knowledge of the language increased. But somewhere in his heart, he started having guilty feelings of being this close with dead Davis's mother. His inner self whispered to him. You killed her son, why are you laughing together with her? Is it fun? Playing with the mother of the child you killed. You think she is your mother? No. You are just possessing her son's body. Stop it. Davis? Claire had a worried face. Jianlong snapped at it and remembered what had happened. Claire had just joked about how she would have felt if he had died out there. Are you fine? Claire asked worriedly. Yes, it's nothing. Jianlong evaded her gaze and said. Another week had passed. Jianlong gradually started distancing himself from Claire. He won't play that much with her anymore. He just finished her assignments and increased his knowledge of the language. Claire grew increasingly worried about her son not being that much responsive anymore. What's wrong? Why did he start distancing himself from me? Did I do something wrong? It can't be because of how I joked about him dying, could it? Claire thought that she had done something wrong. Later she felt that he will eventually be his old self again. It was the 4th week. Jianlong didn't know how to face his mother anymore. He started blaming himself when he saw Claire being overly worried. On one hand, he felt that he didn't deserve this heartwarming mother, on the other hand he felt that he should make his mother happy. These conflicting emotions had his heart tearing apart. Near the study, Davis. A voice full of longing was heard. "Mother." Jianlong glanced at her and turned his head back. "Look at me, Davis," Claire pleaded. Jianlong slowly turned to look back at her. "Did Mom do something wrong? Why aren't you speaking to Mom anymore?" Claire bit her lips. Jianlong remained silent. "Is the place not good? Did Mom treat you wrongly? Is it because Mom joked about your death?" Claire had tears in her eyes. Jianlong still remained silent. "After I lost you, I thought I will never see you anymore. I had no wish in this world other than for you to return safely. Every day without you was hell on earth. I thought I will never see you again, but you returned. My child returned to me, studied with me, played with me, and now why are you not speaking to your mother anymore?" Claire cried. Jianlong was overwhelmed with guilt after hearing that. Claire hugged Jianlong forcefully. He tried to distance himself from her. "Davis. Don't go. Please talk to Mother. I want my Davis back. Please give my Davis back. I can't take it anymore," Claire cried, hugging him with all her strength. "Mother." Jianlong felt his heart break and hugged his mother tightly. "Your Davis is here, Mother, your Davis didn't go anywhere, I am still here." Jianlong started crying. At that moment Jianlong accepted his whole new identity, Davis. Light started swirling around Davis's globola, his soul started shaping itself to spherical form. Claire couldn't believe her eyes. Davis. He achieved nascent soul stage. She dumbfoundedly muttered. Chapter 7. After 5 minutes, Davis opened his eyes. He couldn't fathom what had happened just now. He felt that his soul started growing and attained a shape all of a sudden. Claire wiped off Davis's tears and smiled proudly. "You've made Mom proud, Davis." "Oh. Mom, what happened to me just now?" Davis decided to ask since he couldn't understand what had happened just now. "Davis, you just advanced to the nascent soul stage," Claire exclaimed. "Nascent soul stage? What is that?" Davis had some idea about it but decided to ask anyway. "Silly, for this you need to know about the cultivation system. Let me explain it to you slowly." Davis got excited. There are 3 types of cultivation systems. First, essence gathering cultivation. Second, body tempering cultivation. Third, soul tempering cultivation. What you achieved is the first step of soul tempering cultivation, nascent soul stage. What you've done is quite unbelievable, Davis. Usually only people who reached the 3rd step of essence gathering system, revolving core stage, will be able to advance in their soul cultivation because a human's soul is rather weak. You can't sense it, not until you reach the revolving core stage. In fact, Davis was only able to reach nascent soul stage because of 2 things, his powerful soul and he managed to conquer his heart demon. Davis took a moment to understand what she said. Davis. Claire called out to her son with a solemn expression. "Did you awaken your previous life's memories?" Davis looked like a cat that had its tail stepped on. He immediately took a step back. Claire immediately hugged him again, not letting him go. "It's fine, Davis, you don't have to say anything, you're still my son. This doesn't change anything." Claire comforted him hurriedly. "Mother, I'm sorry." Davis started crying again. He can only let her misunderstand the situation. Seeing that Davis was crying, Claire smiled. She was reassured that it was still her son and not some old demon of ancient times. After a few moments of mother-son bonding, Davis decided to be wholeheartedly her son, both in body and soul. "Davis, let's call your father here and explain ourselves to him, shall we?" Claire wanted to respect his privacy. "Mother, is it fine? Won't father get angry?" Davis had his misgivings. Davis's father, Logan, had visited him a few times, to play with him. Albeit he was stricter because he wanted his son to be headstrong while facing hardships. "He will get angry only if you don't tell him," If you come out with it, he will start believing and trust you to a certain extent. If you don't tell him, it is possible that he will entirely distrust you because you simply have no way to hide your cultivation for now. Claire explained. I'll obey, mother. Davis said sadly with a cute face. Lovely. Claire pinched his face, she couldn't get enough of that cute expression. Claire then contacted her husband through a fist-sized crystal telling him that she wants to see him immediately. Mother, what is that? This? This is a transmission crystal. This is used to contact whoever owns the other half. There are many types of crystals, I'll explain about them later to you. Davis nodded his head. Ha ha ha, what is it? My love? What is so important that you made me hurry here alone? Logan opened the door to the study and closed it. Logan then looked astonished. Nascent soul stage? Davis and Claire looked at each other. They nodded to each other. Logan immediately noticed the solemn atmosphere in the room. Logan, I and Davis have something important to tell you. Claire informed. You and Davis? Let me hear it. Then he set up a barrier knowing that it's important. Claire then explained the series of events that happened few minutes ago. So you're saying that Davis has gained his previous life's memories? Logan had a weird expression on his face. Basically, yes. Claire had a helpless expression. There was a moment of silence, albeit heavily awkward. Logan took a deep breath, he then looked at Davis, but his gaze wasn't one of looking at a son anymore. He released a horrifying pressure. Davis trembled, his father's gaze was sharp and his aura pressured him heavily. Logan. Claire defended her child. Stay quiet. I only want to question him for now. Who are you? Logan questioned. Davis replied. Lies. What are you after? Father, I'm not after anything. Davis had tears in his eyes. He really was not after anything after all. Don't call me father, father, please. Davis had an aggrieved expression on his face. He couldn't take this anymore. Logan. You've gone too far. Claire shouted with an angry expression on her face. Logan sighed. He took back his aura and retracted his gaze. He looked at him again. His gaze was back to like what one would look at a son. At least tell me if you were immortal or immortal. I'm immortal. After a moment of silence, Davis chose to reply without averting his gaze. His gaze was pure with no evil intentions. Logan could feel Davis's soul fluctuations. If he lied, then he would know about it. There were no unusual fluctuations in his soul, so he could at least verify that his son wasn't lying. Logan heaved a sigh of relief. Logan carried his son and whispered. I'm sorry. I could only do this for the safety of our family. Davis nodded his head, not taking it to heart. He knew that his father took action based on family security, and also must be very worried about his son. The family then hugged each other, not feeling good about their insecurities. The hug was heartwarming and it was the best comfort for them now. Husband, you really took your prank too far. Claire teased Logan. I know, I'm sorry. Logan chose to end the embarrassing topic right there. Ha ha ha, the three of them then laughed together. Claire suddenly had a change of expression. She hurriedly went to the restroom. Mom! Claire, both of them shouted, sounds of vomiting could be heard. After a period of time, Claire came out shyly and said, Looks like I'm pregnant. Chapter 8. Good. Logan was trembling in excitement. Ah, does this mean I'll be getting a brother or sister? Davis never had any siblings. He was dumbfounded, but he was extremely happy when he heard it. Claire approached them while coming out of the restroom. Suddenly she collapsed. Mother. Claire. Logan moved quickly and stopped her from falling. I'm fine, I just feel dizzy. Claire explained. Enough, you need some rest, Claire. Davis, your mother needs some rest, I understand. Davis nodded. No need to worry, Davis, mother will soon come back to you. Claire comforted him. Claire's love for him is boundless. I'll be waiting, mother. Davis nodded again. Davis's parents then left the study. He watched their backs as they left him alone. Davis vaguely laughed. Ha, ha ha, ha, I gain loving parents in this world, and on top of that I get a sibling too? It's something I can't get even if I wished for. I can only hope that I won't do something stupid and disrupt this family. Davis sighed. What's this? Davis felt that he could now access that black book that delves in his soul. Should I? No, I shouldn't do anything suspicious while still in the royal castle. Father did set up some kind of barrier here, so people should be able to monitor this place. What Davis didn't know is that the study already had a barrier set up normally. It's just that Logan had set up a stronger barrier than that. Other than that, there are always hidden experts protecting him in secret. In the private quarters of the Empress, Logan made Claire rest in her bed. He looked at her with a gentle gaze. Claire also looked at him with love. Logan and Claire had gone through life and situations together when they were young and during the rebel. Even though Claire had ignored Logan for 3 years, he didn't fancy any woman other than her. He was totally smitten and deeply in love with her. With his status as the Emperor, if he wished so, he could have hundreds of concubines. But he chose not to do it. He also went far as publicly announcing that anyone who tries to talk with him about making him marry another woman would be dealt with severely, and there were such cases as well. Logan, Davis is our son. Claire said worriedly. I know, Logan sighed. No matter what, reincarnated or not, he is still our son. I won't do anything to him. Then why did you? What if he was an evil person in his previous life? He's not. There's no way my son will be evil even in his previous life. That's why I wanted to make sure. Logan calmly explained, the Lord family highly values peace and honor and wouldn't stoop to do evil and low things. Lord Empire was the only empire in the Grand Sea continent who didn't war with other empires. Its adjacent empires were in a state of war, and that's why it didn't get attacked by other empires during its internal unrest. Although its peaceful times has caused certain backstabbers to rise up in rebellion, it had remained still powerful as ever. But it had let its guard down. The cause of the rebellion was like more of an opportunity. The death of the previous emperor, Logan's father, proved to be a timely opportunity to assassinate the royal family. Except Logan and Claire, almost all the members of the royal family who were in the capital got assassinated. That's why Logan took immediate measures to send away his son. Only 2 noble families didn't take part in the rebellion, while the other 6 noble families joined forces to eliminate the royal family. The 2 noble families then joined the royal family to help quell the rebel. The Nolan family and Caldown family. Of course, at the end of the rebellion, the 6 noble families were either entirely annihilated by the Lorit Empire army or locked up in prison after the higher-ups of the 6 families were killed. Only the heads of 2 noble families, Vaughan family and Hawkwood family, managed to escape with severe injuries. Then Logan left Claire to rest and went to the throne hall to announce about the pregnancy matter. His subjects congratulated him and praised him. He felt awkward. Even though he was the emperor, he had not received teachings on how to be an emperor, because he was the 5th prince. He liked to be free and unrestrained but had no choice other than to be an emperor. He could only take this position because his family in the capital was annihilated. Only his 7th and 8th brother were alive and somewhere out adventuring. Logan had lost too much in this war, and he utterly hated the 6 noble families for it. He wished he could find and kill the 2 heads who escaped. His only support was his love, Claire. Now he distanced himself from his son. Things have grown awkward between the 3 of them. He felt ridiculous for it. Somewhere in his heart, he felt that he should make this right. So, at night after much deliberation, he decided to visit Davis. Davis was in the study. He was still in the mood to learn about this world. He had his determination after all. Or you could say that he directed his focus on other matters rather than to think about the earlier event. Knock Davis, a voice could be heard from the other side of the door. Father? Davis turned back and stood up. Logan opened the door and entered. You are still studying at this time? Logan found a topic that he could start on. Davis nodded. I see, are you fine? Logan asked. Davis again nodded. Seeing that the conversation isn't going anywhere, Logan decided to be direct. Davis, about the matter early. Can I speak? Davis suddenly asked. Logan paused for a moment before nodding. Go ahead. Davis took a deep breath. Father, it's true that I am my own self, but it still will not change the fact that I am your son. In my previous life I didn't have any parents nor siblings, I was just an orphan. I lived my whole life alone without any familiar love. I didn't even have anyone to accompany in my life, I lived alone in solitude. If you want me to go, then I will immediately leave this place. Davis had tears in his eyes. But it's true. It's just that, can I also be a part of this family? Tears fell out of Davis's eyes while he had a gaze full of longing. Logan kneeled down and held Davis's shoulders. You are a part of this family. He strongly replied, his eyes full of resolution. Chapter 9. Next day, Mom? Davis. Claire had her face full of love. She thought she wouldn't be able to see him for a while. Davis got permission from his father to go meet his mother. Although things are fine now, it is still difficult for his father to accept immediately. As for when he will wholeheartedly, only time will tell. Mom. How are you? Seeing that Claire was happy seeing him, he knew it was fine for him to be a kid again. Davis, you don't know how I missed you. Come here, let me give you a kiss. Claire beckoned. Davis came closer to Claire and he got a peck on his forehead. After that, Davis talked to Claire about what happened with Dad. It's good that you and Father had a talk, Davis. Mom will only be accompanying you for a few months. Let me give you an amulet. What's this? The amulet was purple in color. It's an artifact that is capable of hiding your cultivation. Have it worn on you always. Claire said with a serious expression. Davis was extremely touched and a moment later he realized that he was duped by his mother yesterday. He decided to play a little joke on her. Hee, Mom, am I getting a little monster? Little monster? Eh? Claire was momentarily confused. You dare to say that your little sibling is a monster? Claire made a face full of fake anger while smiling. Davis immediately started floating. Whoa. What? Mom? He struggled in the air. Now that I remember that I haven't given you any punishments since you always seem to complete assignments way before time, this is a good opportunity for me to teach you a lesson. Claire said teasingly. Davis made a cute face which immediately made Claire reluctant to give any punishments. Claire made Davis come closer as she opened her arms to hug him. Davis immediately thought that it worked. When Davis came closer, Claire made him bend around. Eh? Mom? Slap, arg. Davis cried out in pain. You think you can get out of this just by playing innocent? Claire sneered. Slap, slap, slap. Davis got his butt slapped so hard that it turned red. Ugh, those slaps were truly painful. Damn, I stepped on a landmine. Davis thought, now he knew how much she truly loved her kids. Mom. I'm sorry. Davis cried out. Good, you should have said this earlier. Claire smiled. Looks like I have to teach you manners as well, you naughty child. Claire laughed. I hear and obey, Your Majesty, Davis said while making a cute face. You only know how to joke. Claire tried to hit Davis again. You can't catch me. Davis immediately ran away from her. Come back. 3 months passed, every day was filled with joy for Claire and Davis. She taught him more about this world. They played together as well as studied together for 3 whole months. Then various tutors were assigned to Davis, who taught him. Claire was ordered to rest for the whole remaining 6 months. Of course, whenever he had time, he went to visit his mother almost every day. Davis had to act like a child in front of everyone except his mother and father. His father and mother gave him permission to do that. In fact, they laughed behind him. They had to admit that his acting skills were very good. 6 months passed, Logan was walking to and fro with a stiff face. Although nothing will happen to Claire, he was not sure anymore after a monster like Davis was born. He started thinking about all possible worst-case scenarios. Dad! Davis, who was beside him, shouted. Don't worry, nothing will happen to Mom. Davis was quite composed compared to his father. Logan nodded his head, but he still couldn't get his nervousness out of his head. N-N-N-H-H-H-H. Ah! Ah! A shout of agony with heavy breathings, followed by loud crying of a baby, was heard. Claire! Logan hurriedly went inside the Empress's room. Davis also followed him. No one dared to follow after them. Inside the room, Claire was holding a newborn baby while smiling resplendently. She looked like an angel, her smile lit the whole room with brightness. Logan was stunned while Davis had his attention on the newcomer. Logan went beside her and shifted his attention to the little baby. It's a girl, Claire said. Claire knew that she will get a girl baby, but she kept it a secret. Davis, you're a big brother now, my sister? Davis was dumbfounded at the prospect of his sister's birth, even though he knew this would happen eventually. Logan took hold of the baby from Claire. He stared at her full of love. Claire, she looks just like you, an angel. Didn't we decide if the baby was a girl that I'd get to name her? Claire asked. She giggled. Yes, even though I wanted to, damn. Logan had a face full of dissatisfaction. Our little princess will be named Clara Lauret. Clara Lauret, a good name. Logan was happy with this name as it sounds similar to Claire. While Davis kept mumbling the name in his mind. Another year passed. Davis started to learn about cultivation during this time. He was waiting for another year to pass so that he could start cultivating. Children start cultivating from the time when they were 5 years old. Davis! Claire called out to him. Mother! Davis was in the castle library reading books about cultivation. Davis, I don't have to say it myself, but you yourself, a genius, should know that no one has got soul cultivation before they reach the revolving core stage. Yes, you mentioned about it to me before, Mother. You are quite lucky because we are the only royal family in this continent who specialize in soul cultivation. Really? Other sects, clans, various families also have soul cultivation techniques, but they don't compare to us. That's really cool. Davis had a happy expression on his face. Then that means that I can advance in soul cultivation faster and earlier than anyone else my age in this world. Don't celebrate too soon. Out of the 3 cultivation systems, soul cultivation is the hardest. You have achieved nascent soul stage before reaching revolving core stage. The soul cultivation techniques in our continent can only be cultivated after reaching revolving core stage, because at that stage, you can sense the changes in heaven and earth which is required for soul cultivation. If you can't cultivate your soul after a year with our soul cultivation techniques, then you will have to reach revolving core stage before training in it again, which makes your speed the same as any royal family children. Claire decided to put down his ego first. What the fuck? Davis looked speechless. There goes his genius history down the drain. Chapter 10. I'm sorry, Davis, but you will have to rely on your comprehension to learn how to cultivate your soul without reaching revolving core realm. Claire said with a helpless expression. I understand, Mom. Davis understood that it is impossible for almost all people to sense the soul without any cultivation. Mom, I want nascent soul stage soul cultivation techniques of our family now. Davis had an idea. Davis, you aren't allowed to cultivate until you're 5 years old. Claire warned. I know, Mom, I just want to learn it to find a way to cultivate without reaching the revolving core stage. I promise that I won't cultivate until I'm 5 years old. Sigh, I'll talk to Dad about it. Claire agreed. Then, I'll come play with Clara afterwards. Davis said excitedly. Of course, Clara likes you more than me. What tricks did you play on her? Claire asked with an expression full of fake anger. Secret. Davis smirked and ran away. 6 months later, after gaining permission from his dad to learn about soul cultivation techniques, Davis worked hard to find a way to cultivate the soul. Logan personally started to teach him about all 3 types of cultivation. After 6 months, he firmly grasped on how to cultivate normally when one reaches revolving core stage. But he couldn't fathom on how to cultivate without reaching it. In fact, It was a miracle that he achieved nascent soul stage without cultivating in a certain soul tempering technique. Since Davis couldn't find a way to cultivate, he tried asking various persons in a roundabout way. "Good day, Prince." The librarian greeted Davis. "Good day, Mr. Oxford." Mr. Oxford was the librarian of the royal castle. He was almost 6 feet tall, with a suave and gentlemanly face. But he was quite old, around 50 years. "Our prince is so studious, our empire will surely be stable and powerful in the years to come," Oxford complimented. "Thank you, Mr. Oxford. Can I ask you a question?" "The prince has a question for me?" "I will try to answer my best." "What stage are you in cultivation?" he asked with curious expression in his face. "Oh, me? I'm in the revolving core stage. It doesn't compare to your genius father, who has achieved lost seed stage recently just before the rebellion ended." "Really? Father has achieved lost seed stage?" Davis was astonished. Davis finished reading about the basics of cultivation, so he knew a thing or two about cultivation stages. Yes. The lost seed stage was the 5th step in essence gathering cultivation. It is difficult to attain it without resources and comprehension. Only the top powers of the continent have a powerhouse of the lost seed stage. Logan's father was originally a lost seed stage expert, but he died, triggering the start of the rebellion. Then what about my father's soul cultivation? Oh, aren't you in a hurry to learn about your father? Your father is at the peak of the young soul stage, the 3rd step of soul cultivation. Meanwhile, I am only at the peak of nascent soul stage. Oxford sighed. Only the 3rd step? And Mr. Oxford only reached the peak of the 1st step? Davis was shocked at their slow speed in soul cultivation. The young soul stage is the 3rd step of soul cultivation. Oh, it isn't easy to cultivate the soul. You need plenty of resources that tempers and refines your soul. Without them you can only slowly progress at a snail's pace. Training in soul? It is very difficult. Oxford lamented that he couldn't cultivate his soul quickly. "I see, then I'll see you around." Davis kept nodding his head and took his leave. Davis walked absent-mindedly, thinking of a solution to the problem that he is currently facing. No matter how he thought, he couldn't think of a solution with his current knowledge. "Forget it, I'll eventually find a way to temper my soul." Davis gave up temporarily and went to play with his mother and sister. Clara is now able to form 3 to 4 words of sentences. Davis always plays with his sister and finally makes her cry accidentally, which makes Claire to slap his butt out of this world. 8 months later, Davis reached his 5th birthday and finally earned the right to cultivate. He learned more about all 3 cultivation systems and got the cultivation techniques of all 3 of them 6 months before. The 3 cultivation techniques he got are all of Sky Grade manuals. Sky Grade manuals are reserved only for the royal family and those who achieve top accomplishments. Sky Grade cultivation techniques aren't easily available in this continent. No mid-level auctions even dare to sell one in their place, at most only the higher tier powers will dare to sell them. The cultivation techniques he chose with the help of his father and mother were named Tyrant Body Secrets, Extinction Lightning Judgment, and Sacred Luminance Mist. Tyrant Body Secrets is a mid-level Sky Grade manual. It is a body tempering cultivation technique. It has 5 layers in it. Extinction Lightning Judgment is also a mid-level Sky Grade manual. It is an essence gathering cultivation technique. It also has 5 layers. Sacred Luminance Mist is a mid-level Sky Grade manual. It is a soul tempering cultivation technique, and it also has 5 layers in it. No top power in this continent has a Sky Grade soul cultivation technique publicly, only the Loret Empire holds monopoly over it. Loret Empire has 3 Sky Grade soul cultivation techniques, 2 low-level and 1 mid-level techniques. Each layer in the cultivation technique can be unlocked only by advancing to the next stage of cultivation. After getting the cultivation techniques, his father tutored him about all 3 cultivation techniques, increasing his knowledge up to 2nd stage of all 3 cultivation systems. "Father, I still haven't gotten an idea on how to cultivate the soul sooner." Davis was depressed. "Don't sweat it, you still are a 5-year-old child, You have plenty of opportunities to try some ideas in the future. But. No buts, you can concentrate on the other two cultivation systems for now. Logan noticed something and started leaving. Father? Where are you going? It's time for me to break through. Logan said excitedly. Hi. This is Novel Admire. Thanks for the visit. Chapter 11. 3 hours later, Davis Clare arrived outside the Emperor's room. Davis was standing outside the Emperor's room clearly waiting for his dad to come out. He thought he will be able to see his dad break through, but his dad entered closed-door cultivation since it concerns the advancing of the soul. Advancing in soul cultivation requires absolute silence with peace and serenity, but it is still possible to break through in the midst of a battle only under certain conditions. Emotions play a huge role in soul cultivation after all. Mom, Dad is currently. I heard, what's the situation now? Claire had a worried face. Everything is fine for now, we can only wait for Dad to come out. Davis said. The two stayed silent after that and waited for 10 minutes. Alright Davis, you can go do whatever. Suddenly a majestic aura spread with luminance brightening the entire room that Logan stayed in. It overflowed outside before quietly subsiding. After a minute, Logan came out with a ragged face. He can be seen walking out dejectedly. Claire immediately went to hold his hand with a worried face, seeing that he walked out sadly. I failed. Logan muttered softly. A bright luminance surrounded Logan which subtly started healing his wounded soul. Claire emitted that luminance as she also trained in Sacred Luminance Mist. Sacred Soul Healing is the third layer ability of it. Don't worry, dear, you can definitely succeed the next time. Claire comforted. It's useless. Logan muttered again, he had his head down. Why? Claire asked, Heart Demon. Logan looked at her and uttered. Claire was not surprised. Logan lost his family and hadn't freed himself from its clutches yet. He still hasn't fulfilled his vengeance because of those two heads who ran away. It has been weighing down on his heart ever since then. She knew that he wouldn't show his worry out, just to keep others from worrying for him. Claire immediately felt extremely guilty that she didn't accompany him during those 3-year rebellion period. She just embraced and didn't say anything. Davis just left, giving them the time for them to talk alone. 3 days later, Davis got ready to cultivate his body tempering cultivation. The first 2 stages in body tempering cultivation is extremely easy for the royal family to cultivate, they had plenty of resources after all. In fact, it also became easier for them to cultivate the 3rd stage easily because of the loot gained from the rebellion. Davis went to meet his father to consult whether he should make his first breakthrough in body tempering cultivation so soon. After all, he was just 5 years old. Father, is it okay for me to cultivate in body tempering cultivation now? Logan thought for a moment before replying. Most children only start to cultivate body tempering cultivation only when they are 10 years old. After all, body tempering cultivation involves extreme pain when cultivating it. It requires extreme resilience. I won't stop you from cultivating it, but are you up to the task? Logan asked with a sharp voice. My previous life was filled with pain, both mentally and physically. I am sure that I am up for the task, Dad. Davis said with determination. Good, that's my son. Logan said, and suddenly out of nowhere kicked Davis, which sent him flying. Garg! Davis flew out and rolled on the floor miserably. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Davis tried to stand up but couldn't no matter how he tried. Painful, it was extremely painful for him. Yes, I almost forgot this body isn't used to pain. Davis thought. What? That's it? You couldn't take a single hit? You should give up body cultivation. Logan shouted furiously. I should not be doing this, but it seems that he relies on his previous experience in this world. That won't work, I have to teach him the ways of this world. No. I can stand up. Davis cried automatically upon receiving such an injury for the first time. Davis struggled to stand up. After 2 tries he managed to stand up. Come. Davis shouted. Good, I'm not going to stop till you give up. The one-sided beatings went on for about 10 minutes. Every part of Davis's body received injuries except his life jewels. The floor was full of blood. "It's fine if you give up now, Davis." "No. Well. Please continue." Davis thought he had to show more resilience and determination, so that his dad will approve of him to cultivate sooner. "Please give up. If you get any more beatings, I'm not sure that I will be able to escape Claire's wrath." Logan made a wry face secretly. This continued for about 5 more minutes. "It's enough, Davis, you can now give up." Logan had enough of Davis's determination anymore, and he was sure that he'll be ignored by Claire again for who knows how long if he doesn't give up. No, Bull. Can. Continue. Davis' face was injured fully, he had lost more than 3 teeth. His arms and legs were trembling, but he still had determination on his face. He couldn't see what was in front of him anymore, he was feeling dizzy. Logan dropped his posture and made a wry face. "Why do you try so hard?" Davis tried to make his feet stable. He looked at his father's blurred face. "I do want to protect everyone I love. He panted. "I want to protect Mom, Britt, Clara, and even you, Dad. For that I need strength as soon as possible." Just when he was about to finish saying his heartfelt emotions, he collapsed. Logan made a dumbfounded face and muttered, "Protect our family? Even protect me? A 5-year-old child protecting me?" Logan started laughing out loud. "I am so ashamed of myself. I am so lost in hatred and arrogance that I forgot about my family's safety. Ha ha ha, the regret I had for letting those 2 escape has caged me in. I'm so stupid to focus my mind on those 2. The instant Logan realized that, he started releasing a majestic aura filled with sacred luminance. He instantly made a breakthrough to the adult soul stage. "Thank you, Davis, I was able to realize what's more important to me, because of you." Logan smiled. He finally hit his last wall of caution against his son break. Chapter 12. On the same day, Claire noticed the commotion. She heard from Logan that he has managed to break through to adult soul stage, and she was so ecstatic that she wanted to tell Davis about it. But when she saw the fainted and injured Davis, she grew so angry that she slapped him heavily and didn't speak to him afterwards. Claire thought Logan injured Davis because of that event before. Logan immediately explained to Claire about what had happened. She only listened. Her expression relaxed, understanding that it was just a misunderstanding again, and didn't bother replying to him. She immediately started to feed and apply medicine on Davis. The royal family has treasures capable of instant recovery, but that is too strong for Davis. Claire would have immediately fed him that, but his body would have burst apart without any powerful external help. Claire would have done it herself as she was powerful enough, but Logan wanted to make him slowly heal so as not to leave any sequelae behind in his body. Of course, Claire only listened to him when he said that Davis wanted to train in body tempering techniques, otherwise she would have immediately fed him medicines capable of instant recovery. Logan knew that this would happen and comforted himself by thinking that this is only a matter of time before she gives up ignoring him. The next day, in the study, Davis woke up and immediately felt both warm and painful. "My wounds are healing quickly." Davis sensed that most of his bruises had disappeared and his teeth had started growing again. Davis can use soul sense from the time he made a breakthrough, but at his level, he can only use it to sense his whole body. His soul sense wasn't still able to leave his body. "Davis." Claire, who was seated beside him, happily echoed. "Are you fine?" Claire asked. "Yes, Mom, although it hurts a little bit," Davis said truthfully. "That scoundrel, he went too far again," Claire said hatefully. "Mom, no. I was the one who asked him to beat me up. So it's no way Dad's fault. Don't fight with Dad because of it." Davis didn't want to create a rift between his new family members. Claire looked at his clear eyes and sighed. "All right, I won't hold this against your dad. I know that he isn't in the wrong, it's just... How dare he beat you up?" Claire fumed with a wronged expression on her face. Just at that moment, Logan entered the room without knocking. Logan had a wry smile on his face. Claire saw him entering and immediately harumphed into satisfaction. "Claire, listen to me." Claire had a sudden change of expression and immediately ran away to the restroom. Vomiting sounds could be heard. Davis and Logan were dumbfounded. They had this extreme sense of déjà vu to this bizarre situation. They looked at each other, one smiled lewdly while the other had a straight face. Claire came out walking shyly. "Are you two rabbits?" Davis smirked and laughed lewdly. Claire blushed heavily and didn't dare to say anything. She was extremely reserved to any topic concerning procreation. Meanwhile, the one who had the straight face coughed and said shamelessly, "Of course, as the Emperor of the Laurent Empire, I have the responsibility to produce more offspring so as not to make our empire meet its end." Logan looked at her with a profound expression on his face when he said that. The two of them then looked at each other and laughed while Claire had her face even more buried down due to extreme embarrassment. "I'm going to kill you all," she shouted. The two of them immediately ran away from the study while laughing. A week later. Davis trained his body lightly in the meantime. He improved his physique little by little. One of the immediate solutions to cultivate his soul was that to sense the heaven and earth. But he was unable to do that since he was only at the low-level nascent soul stage. His soul sense was unable to go out of his body. Davis heard from his mother on how his father managed to break through by conquering his heart demon just like how he was able to do it. Davis then learned more about heart demons from the library and confirmed that the only way to have breakthrough in his soul cultivation is to conquer his heart demons. He was sure that he had no heart demons for now. A heart demon is not exactly a demon, it's just an inner thought that is capable of corroding one's mind and soul. In fact, heart demons are the cause for most people's cultivation to stagnate. If one cannot let go of it or manage to conquer it, then one's cultivation will be potentially locked for the rest of their life. After learning about it, Davis had no way to implement this method as he thinks that doesn't have a heart demon. Claire was resting in her room. "Mother, I don't think I have any heart demons now. How can I then increase my soul cultivation?" Davis said lamentably. Claire was dumbfounded and laughed. "Davis, only peak experts are able to find whether they have heart demons or not. Do you think yourself to be a peak expert? Not even your father is considered a peak expert in this world." Hearing that, Davis realized that he was getting full of himself. He was immediately embarrassed. "Davis, conquering a heart demon manually is no easy process. It is hundreds of times harder than naturally conquering it through enlightenment. If you fail to manually conquer it, you will easily receive various backlashes and the worst case scenario may even change your personality to be more twisted." Claire shook her head and explained to him seriously. Seeing Davis's depressed face, she said half-heartedly, "Davis, do you want to confront your heart demon?" "Yes." Davis had a determined expression on his face. "No, Mom won't allow you," Claire said seriously. "Then I'll go ask Father about it." Davis stood up. You're not allowed to." Davis immediately started walking away. He opened the door. "Fine. You win, come back." Claire sighed. Davis returned back with an obedient face. "You're not going to reconsider? Your future is long and plentiful." Claire asked. "No. This is not a game, one wrong move and you're done," Claire said seriously. Davis's heart skipped a beat but he still had a determined expression on his face. Claire sighed. "Have you heard about the Redemption Tower? The one that is nearby the prison and mostly used by prisoners who are redeemable." Chapter 13. "I have heard about it before. Isn't it used to free prisoners or criminals who had a change of heart? Isn't that why it is named Redemption Tower?" Davis said. "You're right, but the truth is very different from the facts." Claire shook her head lightly. "First, there are 3 levels to clear the Redemption Tower. Many prisoners will give anything up to have a chance at the Redemption Tower. Skipping on the first 2 levels, what you need to know is about the 3rd level, the last level, the Redemption level. That is where the prisoners face their heart demons and cleanse their soul of impurities. If a prisoner clears the last level, then they even have a chance of being recruited by the royal family. All of this is part true and part lies. Claire sighed. The truth is that no prisoner is able to clear the level, as it would use up the treasure that is placed up in the formation. It only induces the arousal of the heart demon with the help of the formation. While the prisoner is busy taking care of the heart demon, another formation will act. Once the prisoner manages to clear the last level, the other formation placed there will imprint a slave seal on their souls. The royal family then takes them and assigns them to a certain squad or place them openly in the army. The slave has no choice but to obey the royal family. This is the ugly truth, and it is certainly a part of this empire. Claire looked at Davis's dumbfounded expression. What? Did you get disgusted by this empire? Claire asked, smiling weakly. There was a moment of silence. Yes, because being a slave, I've experienced it once and it sucks a lot. Davis laughed ruefully. Claire was shocked at his revelation. But, if they were used to protect you and father during the rebellion, then all is worth it. I don't care as long as they live their lives protecting mom and dad. Whoa. You have some twisted views over there, but protecting mom and dad instead of the empire. I like it. Claire smirked. But, you're sharp, they were used as meat shields for us to protect us from the rebels. I did feel some pity for them at first, but after learning that they did some evil crimes, I stopped caring about it. Claire explained her experiences. Davis, remember, we as the royal family won't hesitate to sacrifice the lives of others as long as we can protect our family. Davis nodded his head, giving her a sign that he understood the meaning behind it. I'll ask Dear to disable the first 2 levels and place the full, complete formation, to help one in conquering heart demons in the 3rd level. Normally, unless in an emergency, we won't use the treasure, but since you're a genius in soul cultivation, more importantly since you're my son, we can't miss this opportunity either. Thank you, Mother. Hearing that, Davis was ecstatic. The next day. Outside the Redemption Tower. Davis wore a black robe and a mask which covered his whole features. You sure are lucky, only less than 10% of the efficacy of the treasure is left, which is more than enough for your stage, or else if the efficacy was more than 50%, I would have used it to break through long ago. Logan sighed. Claire didn't come. Davis was accompanied by his father anonymously. But, are you sure that you were up to the task? Davis nodded his head and didn't say anything. Logan knew that he couldn't change his child's mind. Davis started walking in the direction of the Redemption Tower. Then go straight to the 3rd level, which is in the 3rd floor of the Redemption Tower. Make sure you conquer your heart demon from your previous life. Davis paused for a moment before starting to walk ahead again. His smile was hidden behind the robe. In the Redemption Tower, 3rd floor. A silhouette can be seen coming out of the entrance to the 3rd level. Davis removed his hood and investigated the room. The surroundings were brightly glowing like some sacred place. There was an altar in the center which stood tall. The room was lit with candles around the bright altar. In the center of the altar, there was a mat which made it obvious for him to know. He moved straight to the mat and sat on it. When he sat on it, the room vibrated and covered him in a spherical glow of light. Davis knew that the formation had started, so he started cultivating sacred luminance mist. He realized that he was slowly starting to get dizzy. It felt like something was trying to get hold of his heart, like a pull or tug that could take his emotions away. He immediately concentrated on it. Before Davis realized, he was transported to a different place. This? Where am I? Davis was startled. This place seems oddly familiar. He checked his surroundings. It's my old CAG. Home. Davis was shocked. He started trembling. Calm down, me. This isn't reality, remember, yes, this is just my heart demon. Davis had a stiff face as he muttered. I didn't want to come back to this place ever again, the formation pretty much helped me screw me over. Suddenly, a cry resounded out. Mr. Ogg. Please don't hit me. A 10-year-old child cried miserably. His teeth were broken, body full of bruises. A middle-aged man can be seen stepping on the child. Ouch! Mister, please let me leave. Bang! The child was sent flying, kicked by the middle-aged man. Call me father, my pet. The middle-aged man had a twisted expression on his face, clearly enjoying beating the child up. What was your name again? Ah, Jianlong? Right? Ha ha ha. From now on, you belong to me, you are my slave. From now on you are just a dog. Let me give you a dog's name, but wait, I guess you don't deserve a name, let me just call you Mutt. Ha ha ha. The middle-aged man laughed evilly. Davis, who was watching, had an angry expression on his face that shows that he was ready to kill this bastard again. He ran towards the middle-aged man and delivered a full power blow to his face. Zzz, the middle-aged man's face distorted, letting his punch go through him. Davis stood behind the middle-aged man, his face had a dumbfounded expression. I can't touch him. Chapter 14. Davis had an ugly expression on his face. He turned over, only to see Jianlong, his past self, getting beaten up again with a belt. Davis tried attacking again and again, but it was of no use. Stop beating! Davis shouted with an angry face. He stood in front of Jianlong and shielded him, but it was of no use again. The belt passed through him and made contact with Jianlong's face. Ugh! Help! Please help me! Anyone! Jianlong begged loudly. You're pretty funny, this is my private mansion, and no one dares to come in without my permission. Oh? The guards at the gate. They'll pretty much turn a blind eye to whatever is happening here, after all, they have their petty lives to live. Ha 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 ha. He laughed again, clearly enjoying the feeling of cornering a child. I am called Twizer, but you can only call me father. Ho ho, people call me this because they think I'm wise and twisted. Mister, please leave me alone. Jianlong begged again in a feeble tone. Bang, call me father. The beatings kept increasing while Jianlong refused to give up. As an orphan who grew up in the slums, he had never seen his father and mother. He had a special place for his father and mother in his heart. As a child, he had wished many times that his father and mother would come pick him up from the slums. One day, he was confronted by a middle-aged man who claimed to know his parents. Being excited at the prospect of finding his parents, he followed the middle-aged man back to a private mansion, only to be terrorized and tortured. After 15 minutes, which seemed like a long period of time to both Jianlong and Davis, Jianlong gave up and started calling that middle-aged man father. To Davis, it was all familiar, what is going to happen, what he tried to forget, it was all shown in front of him. His hatred soared looking at Twizer. He couldn't wait to kill him once more. This man was once a scar in his life. Good. Ho ho, and you're a dog, right? There's something you are missing. Ah yes, the collar, wait obediently, this room is your cage, I'll go get the collar. Twizer went out of the room. Davis's hatred once again soared, hearing that even though he knew what kind of torture would follow after this day, he could only watch what was happening helplessly. Davis tried to follow Twizer out of the room while Jianlong was bruised with injuries, lying down with lifeless eyes. Just when Davis was 10 meters away from Jianlong, a force kept him from leaving him. From this, Davis knew he had to stay with Jianlong, but for who knows how long. Twizer came back with a collar in his hands. He had a degenerated smile on his face. Come here, Mutt, let me make you wear this. Jianlong didn't move. If you don't crawl up to daddy right now, you'll be receiving my love even more. Jianlong shuddered. He mindlessly crawled in front of Twizer and put his head down. Ha ha, very good, that's my boy. Jianlong had a collar on his neck. Bastard. I'll kill you. Davis could no longer control his emotions and attacked Twizer again, but it was of no use. A year passed. In the beginning, Davis still had no way of making contact with someone in this world. Jianlong was shut inside the mansion, he had no way to leave. Every week he would be tortured till he was left half alive. At first Jianlong was only pleading not to beat or torture him. After a month, he started enduring it without shouting, but that just made Twizer more excited. so he had no choice but to shout miserably to appease him. It was hell for him. Thoughts of escape swirled inside Tianlong's head, but he had no way as he was collared. The collar's rope was long, tied to the center of the room. He had no way even to jump out of the window. Davis's heart was in pain every time he watched himself get tortured. It eventually turned into indifference. He kept reminding himself that this was just an illusion. After 5 months, Tianlong had enough of it. Thoughts of killing Twizer filled his mind. He started attacking Twizer by himself. But Twizer was excited when he saw his own pet filled with killing intent trying to kill him. The result was Tianlong was again full of injuries. Twizer was very strong. Davis knew what was going to happen as he was Tianlong before. He was full of hatred for Twizer. The only thing he can be thankful for was that, he knew, Tianlong wasn't going to be sexually abused. This madman Twizer was just a maniac who will get excited just by hitting people. After that period of year ended, Twizer knew that Tianlong wasn't going to last long if he keeps this up. As a distraction, Twizer bought him various toys, books, even a PC. And it worked. Tianlong was absorbed in those, or else he knew that he was going to break. After a year, Tianlong even had thoughts of contacting someone from the internet to save him. But he dropped that idea as soon as he remembered Twizer saying something like with a smile that was not a smile. If you try to contact someone through anything, then just remember that it won't take long for you and that someone to die. Tianlong knew that he wasn't kidding and didn't dare to try contacting someone ever again. 3 years passed. Tianlong was now 15 years old. He became pretty detached from this world. He had an indifferent expression on his face. His body was full of scars except his face. Tianlong gained various knowledge from the internet. He started watching anything that is concerned with entertainment, fantasy. Something that can keep him feel alive. Davis was still here experiencing the whole thing again. After some time, he and Tianlong started to form a connection. Every time Tianlong felt pain, he would feel it too. Chapter 15. Twizer was no longer satisfied with keeping him tied up. He removed the collar and provoked Tianlong to escape. Each time Tianlong tried to escape, he was beaten up miserably and brought back. Twizer pretty much enjoyed it like a hunt. In fact, he would encourage Tianlong to escape. After multiple tries of failed attempts to escape, Tianlong realized it was just all lies and traps. 4 years passed. Tianlong was sitting beside the PC. "Mutt, it's time," a voice could be heard outside the door. Twizer came into the room and started beating him up again. How come this idiot never gets tired of beating me up? Is it like masturbation for him? Tianlong thought nonchalantly. He was getting beaten up, he couldn't give a fuck anymore. Getting beaten up is just pretty much normal for him now. Davis was now connected more with Tianlong's emotions, not just pain. It encroached on him, and little by little, he gradually forgot what he came here for. He felt what Tianlong felt. In his eyes there was only killing intent. Just like Tianlong, he started hating this world. He blamed every person in this world. After beating him up, Twizer glanced at the PC. "Ha ha ha, Xianxia? You got addicted to those fantasies?" Tianlong just kept quiet. Twizer suddenly got an idea. "Do you want to go to a fantasy world?" Twizer asked mysteriously. There was finally a movement in Tianlong's eyes. He looked back at Twizer. He wanted to get out of this hell after all. Twizer knew that he got his attention. He quickly said, "Let me tell you something good." Twizer was sure that his plan would work. "Have you heard about the transmigration stone?" Hee, you probably haven't. I have used my sources to discover about this just recently. Davis had a sudden look of confusion. He thought he forgot something but chose not to dwell on it. Twizer took out a world map which marked 2 places. Hee, see those marks? One is the transmigration stone while the other is the formation which connects to another world. Twizer had a profound smile on his face. Tianlong looked at him dubiously. "Oh come on, When have I ever lied to you? True, he hasn't lied a single time except for that time he claimed to know his parents. All you have to do is gather the transmigration stone and make your way to the formation which is secretly protected by a temple. I'll even give up this opportunity to you. But you think you can get away from me? Jianlong acted like he had profound thoughts. He knew he'd be courting death if he goes out. Twizer thought he had successfully riled up Jianlong into escaping. He stopped escaping a long time ago after all. After 6 months, Jianlong showed no signs of escaping. This made Twizer very angry that he started thrashing him around. Jianlong was even more made to endure severe beatings, the killing intent in his eyes overflowed. Twizer could see that, and it even excited him up more. 6 months passed again. At dawn, Jianlong was staring outside the window. He wished he could just escape this hell. Just as Jianlong was staring outside, he saw a note falling down from the sky. He couldn't believe his eyes. He was sure that he was hallucinating. He shook his head, rubbed his eyes, but he could still see it. The book came falling from the sky and fell down behind a tree that was just nearby, not far from the window. Jianlong was pretty sure that he was hallucinating, but since it fell behind the tree from his viewpoint, he had no way to confirm other than going there himself. He felt a strong sense of curiosity, his instincts were telling him to go check it out. This was the only mysterious event in his boring life that piqued his curiosity to high levels. What's the worst thing that's going to happen if I get found by the guards? Just beatings, and Twizer knowing about this. Jianlong comforted himself. Jianlong jumped out of the window and climbed down. Fortunately, no guard saw him jumping out of the mansion. Jianlong hadn't tried escaping for a long time, which made the guards relax. The only guards who were active at this time were at the gates. Actually, Twizer removed the guards who were monitoring Jianlong's window so that he might try to escape one day. Jianlong moved swiftly and quietly to the tree. When he came behind the tree, he was really shocked to see a note lying down there. Death note? Jianlong immediately picked it up and hid it in his shirt. He swiftly returned back to his room. He knew his movements at the window were recorded by the CCTV, but he didn't care. Everyone will just think he gave up and went back. In his room, Jianlong checked the note. The note was scribbled with a bunch of rules, and he felt it was pretty interesting. He decided to try it out on Twizer when he came back. In fact, he was hoping it would work. Davis, who was watching all this as he wished to kill Twizer, slowly disintegrated. After 3 days, he could hear those hateful steps approaching him outside the door. He immediately wrote Twizer's name in the note, and hid it somewhere behind his PC. He started counting. 10. The door opened and Twizer came walking in. Hey Mutt, I heard that you tried to escape but gave up? Jianlong just smiled. 20. You admit? Very well, I'll just make this punishment light. Cracking sounds came from Twizer's fist. 30. Twizer started beating him up. Jianlong just kept smiling at him, which made Twizer feel uncomfortable. Did this kid break down? 40. 42.44 Jianlong suddenly started chanting. What the hell are you counting? The number of punches? The chant made Twizer even more uncomfortable. 45. Die bastard. Twizer's heart skipped a beat. He was shocked by his outburst. After a moment of silence, he regained his bearings. Die? And how are you going to make me die? Mutt? Chapter 16. Twizer cruelly beat down Jianlong. It didn't work. Jianlong had changed to his lifeless self again. He felt like he no longer had a chance to escape from the clutches of Twizer. He put all his hopes into that note. He had expected too much from it. He had fallen into despair again. In this 10 years, he didn't know how many times he fell into despair only to dream of hope again. HMPH, don't get full of yourself, Mutt. Stay obedient. Twizer thought Jianlong was going to bomb him, but on second thought he realized that Jianlong had no means to secure a bomb. Twizer didn't want to stay anymore, he left swiftly. Jianlong was lying down, He kept staring outside the window. His eyes looked lifeless. Suddenly, he focused his eyes only to see a monstrosity with long wings that appeared outside the window. He kept staring at it silently with a shocked face. He couldn't believe his own eyes. He wondered what happened to him in this week. After a moment of silence, "Who are you?" Jianlong asked, his voice trembling. "Are you the human who picked up my note?" Note. Jianlong had a momentary lapse of his memory. He quickly remembered the death note he picked up 3 days ago. Yes. I was the one who picked up the death note. Quickly help me kill that bastard Twizer. I wrote his name in the death note, but he just won't die. Are you the one who's going to kill him? Hey, wait a moment. My name is, leave it, you can just call me the Death God Overlord. Death God Overlord? Jianlong gulped of hearing such a grand title. Yes, are you sure you wrote the real name of the person you want to die? The Overlord looked at him with a condescending gaze. Real name? Jianlong muttered. It's his fake name. Jianlong immediately remembered when Twizer introduced himself. He said people called him Twizer. Actually, Jianlong was with Twizer for over 10 years. He wasn't at fault when he thought that Twizer was his real name. After all, that name was plaguing him for over 10 years. Then help me kill him, Overlord. I can't, even though you are now the owner of this death note, I will not help you kill someone. If you want to kill that person, then you have to find his real name. How? I have no idea, and he doesn't leave any traces either. Boy, I have a deal which can make you find his real name. But for that you will have. Deal. Quick answer. But let me finish. This deal will require half of your remaining lifespan. In return you will get the Death God eyes, which can inspect a person's real name and lifespan. Consider carefully. Deal? There isn't anything to consider. Jianlong said determinedly. He thought that it's better to live a year freely than live 2 years in hell. Alright. A week later. Creak, the door silently opened. Yo, Mutt, I see you are obedient. Mo Wuming, huh? Jianlong sneered. You disobedient dog. Let's see how you laugh again. Mo Wuming immediately started beating him up again. Jianlong endured it as he always does, albeit he was a little excited. Mo Wuming felt a little uncomfortable and shouted. Aren't you going to kill me? You mutt. He suddenly lost the excitement to beat him up, and so he left the room. Jianlong immediately stood up and went to jot down his name in the death note. Mo Wuming, finally, ha 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 ha. Jianlong then laughed hysterically. After 30 seconds, he dashed out of his door in full speed. He caught up to Mo Wuming in 10 seconds, who was walking on the corridor. There was a distance of 10 meters between them. You mutt. You dare to come out? Mo Wuming slowly approached Jianlong. 5. Mutt, what is that note in your hands? 4. He showed the note to him. Death note? What's that? An artifact. 3. What the fuck are you counting this time around? 2. Jianlong had an evil smile on his face. Fess up, mutt. Mo Wuming got hold of his collar. 1. Die. Thump. Mo Wuming immediately clutched at his chest. He had a shocked expression on his face filled with pain. You. Mo Wuming pointed at Jianlong and fell on his shoulders. He lost his life permanently. Jianlong pushed him away and laughed hysterically. Mo Wuming's corpse fell on the floor with a thud. After laughing for who knows how long, a voice can be heard in the corridor. Papa? A 6-year-old girl can be seen standing 5 meters away from him. She moved closer to the corpse and stood beside it. Papa, wake up. She gave a tug to the corpse. After seeing her father not wake up, she started crying. Jianlong stared at her and smiled evilly. Oh? Mo Wuming had a daughter? Unexpected. He used his death god eyes and saw that her name was Mo Huan. For all the mistakes he'd done, looks like I can vent myself on his daughter. Jianlong smirked, His eyes were red due to the death god eyes which made him look pure evil. Jianlong kicked the little girl away from her father. She growled in pain. All is your father's fault. Papa. Help me. She cried miserably. Jianlong then started stomping on her little face. She had her hands blocking her face from his kicks. She tried to crawl back to her dad. She kept muttering, Papa, Papa. You know how many times your father trampled on me. You know how many times your father made me crawl. This doesn't even compare to 1/10 of what your father did to me. Jianlong let her crawl back to her father while he kept kicking her. She got hold of her father's shirt and didn't let go. Oh, what's this? Jianlong found a knife on Mo Wuming's body. Maybe I can make my heart be at peace if I cut you piece by piece. Jianlong smiled evilly and made a slash at her face. Nu. Help. Papa. She screamed miserably while crying. Bang, a punch came out from nowhere, sending Jianlong flying through the corridor. He suddenly disintegrated. I remember I immediately ran away miserably after seeing this girl cry her heart out sadly for her dad. The 10 years I spent in this hell doesn't even compare to the guilt when I saw this child cry. If it weren't for this child, I truly would have turned evil. A sigh escaped from a person who stood beside the child. Still, to play such an evil role with my body, did you think you can change my heart? My heart demon? Davis had a smug face when questioning himself. Chapter 17. In the Redemption Tower, 3rd floor. Davis, who was subconsciously cultivating the sacred luminance mist, shuddered. Golden bright light surrounded him as he made a breakthrough to mid-level Nascent Soul stage. His cultivation climbed higher until his foundation was incredibly stable in that stage. He opened his eyes, his soul could feel that only 6 hours had passed while he spent 10 years in that hell. What a scary heart demon. It had me in its palm for over 10 years. Little by little connecting me with my past self. First, pain. Second, emotions. Third, a state where I could only watch mindlessly. If I hadn't realized at the last moment, if I had managed to torture and kill the girl, would I be the one to return here? Thinking about this, Davis shuddered. He realized that this question should be left unanswered. He quickly stood up and exited the tower. When he came out of the tower, he could see a figure run to him extremely fast. That figure hugged him, which gave him pure warmth. He smiled. I'm back, Mom. You silly. Claire released him as she looked at him. Davis realized that her eyes were red, she looked like she cried for a long time. Logan came closer, walking slowly. He stared angrily at Davis, but he was happy inside. What happened? Why is Mom's eyes so red? Davis was the one who was angry this time around. Davis, you idiot. The heart demon session doesn't even last over an hour, you have been there for over 6 hours. Just look at how your mother was worried sick about you, HMPH. If you hadn't come out, I would have killed you myself. Logan explained with an angry face. After you entered the tower for more than an hour, your mother couldn't help but leave the castle. She waited for 2 more hours worriedly, then she cried for about an hour and fainted. She just woke up just now. You are such a disgrace. What if something had happened to her and the baby in her womb? After seeing that his son was fine, Logan really wanted to scold his son severely. Mom, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for making you worry. I promise that I'll never make you. Davis realized his fault and hurriedly apologized. Silly, you can't make that promise. You are meant to fly in the future. No matter where you go, Mom can't stop worrying about you. Claire knew that her son would soar higher than anyone else in the future. That is the confidence that she had for her son. All right, let's return to the royal castle. Logan said. Both of them nodded. At the Emperor's quarters. So? You did make a breakthrough, right? Logan asked. Yes, I've advanced to the mid-level Nascent Soul stage. Davis replied. Good. Logan nodded in satisfaction. Davis, use your soul sense. Claire said. Davis used his soul sense, A transparent form of energy tinged with light golden luminance spread around 50 meters of him. In this space, he could perceive everything that is in his range. It was a weird feeling. He lost himself in a trance, perceiving his surroundings. Logan and Claire had their jaws drop. "I know that his soul is powerful, but not this powerful," Claire muttered. Davis was confused. What part of did it make them say that his soul is very powerful? He then immediately realized. An average person with a mid-level nascent soul stage cultivation can only extend his soul sense for about 10 meters, while on the other hand, you can extend up to 50 meters. This clearly denotes that your soul is 5 times more powerful than an average person. Claire explained. "But then, why can't I extend my soul sense up to 5 meters when I was in low-level nascent soul stage?" Davis expressed his doubts. "Silly." Claire giggled. "It simply doesn't work that way. Average cultivators of the low-level nascent soul stage can only make their soul escape once their body is destroyed. They are simply unable to use soul sense at that level and stage. Only people with powerful souls are able to use their soul sense to scan their body 2 or 3 times at once when in low-level nascent soul stage, like your father," Claire explained patiently. Logan had a proud face when he heard her say that, but once he thought about how his own son had beat him, his face deflated. "Davis, you should have unlocked the first layer of sacred luminance mist by now. Display it for Mom." "The first layer? Okay." Davis nodded and circulated his soul to perform according to the first layer of sacred luminance mist. Layers of a cultivation technique can be easily comprehended, unlike battle techniques which requires deep comprehension. The only prerequisite is that you reach the required stage. Of course, if one is stupid and talentless, then even that one will find it to comprehend the layers of a cultivation technique even if they reach the required cultivation stage. A bright golden force field spread 10 meters from Davis. Davis felt like nothing could damage his soul in this space. The sacred soul shield you formed is powerful as well. The both of them weren't surprised this time. Even peak-level nascent soul stage cultivators will find it very difficult to break that. Logan sighed in submission. He didn't even realize that he was competing with his son. "That's it?" Davis expected more. Cough cough. "Ha, if this is the end, then it won't be any different than other soul cultivation manuals which provides a soul shield," Claire confidently said. "Try shrinking it till you cover your entire body with it," Claire said. Davis nodded his head and tried to shrink the golden force field. The golden force field shrank till it only covered his body. Logan and Claire looked at how his soul is not only powerful but pure as well. Wouldn't even infant soul stage cultivators find it hard to break this sacred soul shield of his? Logan muttered. Claire was dumbfounded as well. She uttered yes. Davis was kind of happy but at the same time disappointed, thinking that his shield was not useful against young soul stage cultivators. What he didn't know is that his parents were comparing him subconsciously with other cultivators who cultivated in other Sky Great Soul cultivation manuals. Chapter 18. Davis, since you have a powerful soul, it's also a must for you to become an alchemist, or else it will be just a waste of talent, Claire urged her son. Eh? Davis had a stupid and crying expression on his face. Oh, that process where people make pills from a cauldron? It looks really easy to read in a novel, but is it really easy to do here? What? Do you even know what alchemy is? Do you know how easy it is to cultivate with pills in your arsenal? Do you how much respect the alchemists command in our continent? Alright, Mom doesn't have to explain all this. Just let Father teach me, alright? Davis replied, as he already knew what kind of bullshit respect those alchemists have, those misers. Claire immediately glared at Logan while he just looked around and started whistling as if he hadn't heard anything. Claire then said to Davis with a not-so-smiling face. Davis, your father was the fifth in line for the throne, and wasn't interested in anything other than woman and cultivation. He was pretty arrogant, so he didn't train in alchemy at all, and as a result, you see a failure of a father who can't teach you alchemy. Claire. Logan's face was red in embarrassment. This was a dark history that he didn't want anyone to know about. If his people knew that he, as an emperor, didn't know shit about alchemy, they would laugh till they died. Davis gulped. He realized that his mom's sharp words can kill people sometimes. Screw the death note, I should have the mom note. He stopped flirting with other women when he started loving me. At least, your dad is very upright in this regard. Logan regained his bearings as he gained some face with that statement. No worries, even though many alchemists command respect, they can't compare to an emperor of a sky-grade empire, and your talent is very high, which even makes me jealous. Alchemists would probably flock to have you as a direct disciple if they know how powerful your soul is. Logan explained with a proud face. But the problem is, it is not a good thing to reveal your talent in front of the public. We have just recently survived a disaster and our overall power has dropped. Even though we are a powerhouse, we must be careful enough to not fall into the plot of others, such as assassinations. Claire pondered and said. Then we should just invite a high-tier trustable alchemist to teach Davis in the royal castle. We can secretly invite him using various proxies so that even if the invite failed, he will not be able to trace back to us. That's doable. Logan nodded. Does that mean that I am not allowed to roam the royal capital? Davis didn't want to bring out the death note here, as his parents may know about it. As for why he didn't bring it out in the Redemption Tower, he thought that place was monitored as well. Obviously, you're not getting one step outside the royal castle without your mom and dad accompanying you. It is too dangerous. Claire scoffed. Even though the royal capital is our home field? Davis expressed his doubts. On the surface, the royal capital may look calm, but there are maybe many serious undercurrents lurking without us knowing. Logan explained. Ever since the rebellion, we have severely weakened, which made the other empires send their spies, assassins and whatnot. There's no telling that a random person with a powerful hidden cultivation might approach you from somewhere, only to kill you and die himself. Davis audibly gulped. I've underestimated this world too much. Even though he already knew that he was constantly under protection, he just thought it was a royalty thing. And I will still know where you are, as I have placed a soul mark on you. Where? Davis panicked and immediately checked his soul for any foreign entities. A bright golden talisman shot out from Logan's soul to Davis's soul. Here. Logan said smugly. Claire laughed. Davis knew that he was played the fool right now. He glared at his dad and swore secretly that he will take revenge for this. Davis, let mom also mark you, so that I can immediately react to any emergencies. Claire sweetly said. Go ahead, mom. Hee hee, silly. Claire was very happy that Davis didn't put any restrictions in front of her. She also gave him a sky-grade protective treasure. It was a locket. Dad, I now want to train in body tempering cultivation. Davis declared seriously. No, first, you should stabilize your soul cultivation first. My soul cultivation is already stable. Davis quickly answered. Then you have to wait for your body to get used to pain. Father, I am used to pain. Davis smiled. Logan's eyes twitched. At this rate, won't he punch a hole through the heavens and ascend quickly? He sighed. All right, let me get you a tutor for body cultivation first. Claire will arrange you the resources that you need to achieve a breakthrough. Won't you teach me, Dad? Davis asked sincerely. I'm sorry, Davis, I don't have time for everything. Logan had a difficult expression on his face. I understand. Davis knew that his father, as the emperor, must have a shitload of work to do. Dad, what about the essay? I know, once you complete your body cultivation, Claire will see to your essence gathering cultivation. Logan clearly had enough of his bullshit. Or should I just assign you enough? No thanks. Davis was more than happy to be with his mother together. Ha ha, alright, it's getting busy for me, you and Claire should rest for today. Don't make Claire teach you too much a day, let her rest for a more period of time. I know, Dad, at that time, I will be either with Clara or in the library, no need to worry. I will take care of Mother. Logan and Claire both smiled, satisfied by his reply. Logan then left, Princess carrying Claire to her room. Davis smiled. He also left the room and headed to the study. Phew, looks like I can't even sneak out of the castle. Then I will just have to get even stronger. For father and mother to acknowledge me. Davis had fire emitting out from his eyes. He wanted to explore this world, at least the neighboring streets for now. Chapter 19. The next day, Davis went to the royal training grounds that was in the royal castle. Only the emperor's direct descendants were allowed to train there. When Davis reached the entrance, he saw a middle-aged man about 30 years old. That middle-aged man, who was looked sideways, shifted his head to see Davis approaching him. Hendrickson, huh? Isn't this guy the royal advisor? He is my tutor now? Davis used his death god's eyes to inspect him when he turned sideways. He was not sure whether if it would work on him, but it worked. Welcome, Prince, I am Hendrickson, the royal advisor, and also act as a military advisor at times of need. From now on I'll be your tutor in body tempering cultivation. Hendrickson bowed lightly and introduced himself. Hello, Mr. Hendrickson, I'll be in your care from now on. Davis acted cutely as if he was really excited to have him as his tutor. Oh, my prince, please drop the honorifics, Hendrickson is fine. Hendrickson didn't dare to act arrogantly. The royal family might have many plots when they have too many members, but he can sure see that there are no schemes in this small royal family. He knows that they are incredibly protective of one and another. Okay, Miss Hendrickson. Davis purposefully made a mistake. Ha ha. Hendrickson laughed weakly. Still, why did the emperor ask me to train a 5-year-old child? Isn't it too soon? Even though I rejected, he won't take no for an answer. He sighed. Prince Davis, I heard from the emperor that you have already trained your body to some extent. Let me check your body. Hendrickson released his soul sense and checked Davis' body. He noticed the sky gray treasure amulet and locket, and he can deduce the locket's property but didn't know the amulet's property. You have trained your body well, follow me, the empress is waiting in the body tempering chamber. Hendrickson started walking. Mother? Okay. Davis followed. Miss Hendrickson, what is your current cultivation in all cultivation systems? Davis had an excited face when he asked that. My prince, it isn't anything great. Out of the 3 cultivation systems, I specialize in body tempering cultivation system. I've reached peak level silver stage, mid-level body transformation stage, and peak level young soul stage. Hendrickson explained calmly, even though he was secretly proud. What? My death god's eyes were able to inspect a young soul stage cultivator? Davis was secretly astonished. He didn't dare to use it on his mother and father. He didn't even dare to use it on the maids and servants, afraid that they might be secretly experts assigned to protect him. He was afraid that if they were to know him inspecting them, then he would have to explain himself, which he didn't want to. The death note is the only secret which he shouldn't reveal. Oh, that is wonderful. Miss Hendrickson. Hendrickson had black lines on his face. He can only hear Davis calling him Miss Hendrickson. He could only suffer this humiliation silently. Should I try using the death note? No, that would mean killing him. Killing him is no good, but I don't know if it will even work on him. Will the death note even work on cultivators who are way stronger than me? Humans back on Earth were all equal in soul level, so the death note was able to work on them. Even so, it was full of limitations. Here, I don't think the rules are the same. There must be different kinds of limitations. Davis had a huge headache. He would have to experiment on people to find out its powers. Then that would mean, I can only use it on people who deserve to die. The prison would be a good place to experiment. Thinking this, Davis smirked. They soon arrived to a place. The chamber was filled with various kinds training equipment. Davis saw his mother patiently waiting there for him. He saw her smile and he immediately ran to her. Mom arranged this for you, so your body's foundation and strength might be even stronger than other cultivators on the same level. Claire smiled. She then pointed at a bathtub. Whoa! Davis had to act like a kid in front of others. In that bathtub, a low-level sky-gray tyrant body pill is diluted in that water. Your body isn't powerful enough to eat the whole pill, your body will explode. Empress, may I? Go ahead, royal advisor. Claire said. Isn't it too soon for the prince to be body cultivating? What if he undergoes a trauma and is unable to cultivate because of it? Hendrickson was clearly worried that if Davis were to be in danger, he would be blamed for it. No need to worry, royal advisor, we have utmost trust in our child, he will be able to do it. Claire declared confidently. Hendrickson was baffled, he looked at Davis's childlike pure innocent face. Where do they even get the confidence from? Alright then, Prince, get inside the bathtub and start cultivating the tyrant body secrets. You could have diluted the pill and drank it, but we want your body to endure less pain. We want to have your body get used to the pain. Hendrickson said. Davis smiled innocently and nodded. He got inside the bathtub. He suddenly felt pain all over his body except his head. Davis' eyes shot wide and he now knew that body tempering cultivation was no joke. Davis immediately started cultivating tyrant body secrets and endured the extreme pain for 2 hours. Gradually he got adjusted to it. Claire came closer him and fed the diluted pill essence more powerful than the water in the bathtub. If his pores were open, then he could have absorbed the diluted pill essence, but it had now gone to waste. Davis felt like his internal organs were burning. He continued to cultivate tyrant body secrets. This pain lasted for 2 more hours until a sound could be heard from his body. Crack, Davis emitted a little reddish-brown aura from his body. He could feel his strength soar. He felt like he could now lift a car single-handedly if he tried. Claire beamed, she could see that he achieved copper stage while Hendrickson was astonished that he could withstand the excruciating process. Chapter 20. Mom, I did it! Davis animatedly exclaimed. You've made Mom gratified, Davis. Claire smiled proudly. Congratulations, Prince Davis, you have taken the first step to cultivation, earlier than anyone else I've known. Hendrickson nodded in acknowledgement. He didn't expect this naive-looking child's tenacity to be this high. Thank you, Hendrickson. Hendrickson nodded even more appreciatively. He didn't call him miss this time. Davis got out of the bathtub. He then excitedly stretched his limbs. He can feel that his body was filled with overflowing power that he never experienced in his life before. Hendrickson commented. Good, unlike the other 2 cultivation systems where you accumulate energy and advance slowly, cultivating and body tempering cultivation, you only need resources and resolve to advance, but it only gets harder and difficult as you advance. He shook his head, lamenting the fact that he still finds it difficult to break into gold stage. Davis, there's a strength gauging equipment over there. Go punch it. Claire said. Davis moved to that equipment and punched it normally. Bang, 532 kilograms. Davis then punched with all his strength. Bang, 1021 kilograms. Whoa. Goddamn, this is so awesome. Davis was excited inwardly. Davis, perform the first layer technique of tyrant body secrets. Claire looked forward to his performance. Davis nodded, he started gathering power in his right fist, reddish-brown aura suddenly covered his right arm and he punched forward with all his might. 5164 kilograms. Good, with the tyrant aura amplification, you could even rival low-level bronze stage cultivators in power. For those who cultivate in an earth-grade body cultivating manual, you could rival a high-level copper stage cultivator in power. Hendrickson commented, but, if I were to face a low-level copper stage cultivator who cultivates in a sky-grade body cultivating manual, won't we be evenly matched? Yes, but that also depends on the manual that the other person is cultivating in, even sky-grade manuals have levels. Of course, it even includes your individual battle prowess too. Hendrickson added. Davis sighed. Looks like I'm only powerful in soul cultivation. But by the time you reach gold stage gradually, you would have developed a tyrant physique which even increases your strength and defense double the times. At that time, no one in gold stage will be your opponent. That's why it's named as tyrant. Can't I achieve the tyrant physique now? Davis asked curiously with a confused expression. The Lord Empire doesn't have that kind of resources. Well, it had before, but for now, there are no whereabouts of the mystic tyrant fruit. I will inform your father if we find one. Davis' eyes shone brightly. Looks like I still have hope. Alright, you just have to cultivate like this till you reach the peak level. If you find yourself stumped in front of any bottlenecks, you can visit me in this chamber, in the morning. At other times, I won't be available. Hendrickson informed. Okay. Davis nodded. Davis, let's go. Claire held Davis. They both then left. In the Empress's quarters. Brother. A baby jumped excitedly in its cradle. She was 1.5 years old and 30 inches tall. Her face was chubby and extremely cute. Her cute purple eyes glowed mystically as if it could see through lies. Her short blonde hair was silky smooth. Clara. Your brother is here. Davis hurriedly ran towards her, pinched her cheeks and tickled her. Ha ha. No. Ha ha, Clara laughed. Davis lifted her up and held her. He then turned to Claire. Mom, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have jinxed it. Davis was extremely regretful. It's fine. At least. It's a good thing. Claire sighed. Clara had a set of unique eyes from her birth. After 1 year, they discovered that her eyes were glowing. The three of them panicked, and later when they researched about it, they calmed down. Clara had the transcendent truth eyes. It could see through lies and deceit. If she manages to perfect that power, then no one could lie in front of her. The only problem now is that her eyes lit up randomly. She's just a baby, she couldn't possibly control it. Claire couldn't help but worrying. It will be fine, Mom, when she grows up, she should be able to control it. After all, the records mentioned that those who possesses transcendent truth eyes are natural-born rulers. Davis stated proudly. You're right. Claire nodded, but her face showed otherwise. Such is the fate of a mother. Mother, you can rest today, I'll start cultivating essence gathering cultivation tomorrow. If you say so. She smiled. But in exchange, you have to tell me about that treasure, you said that we have it in our treasury. Davis asked excitedly, the name itself seems grand. Alright. Claire couldn't help but laugh, her son seems to be extremely interested in treasures. The fallen extinction lightning was captured by our previous emperor, your grandfather. He went single-handedly and captured it from the Lightning Fall Mountains that is very far from our empire. But during the battle, sadly, he underestimated the fallen extinction lightning. He was grievously wounded, but he still managed to capture the sky-grade lightning elemental. So, my grandfather, the previous emperor, died from injuries? How can it be? He was so powerful, more powerful than father. Davis couldn't believe that a mere injury could make his grandfather succumb to death. His grandfather was in the 5th step of all the cultivation systems after all. Unfortunately, the fallen extinction lightning possesses corrosive and annihilation properties. He succumbed to the corrosive injuries that the fallen lightning star left behind in his body. Claire sighed. Since grandfather went to hunt it down, then he should have known the properties behind the fallen extinction lightning. I don't believe that grandfather didn't investigate before. Davis shook his head. Claire sighed. In fact, he did, but the information was outdated. He originally went to hunt a peak-level Earth-grade silent extinction lightning for the first prince's son, but by the time he discovered that, it had already evolved to a sky-grade fallen extinction lightning. Everything was for naught. She shook her head sadly. Hi. This is Novel Admire. Thanks for the visit. Come back again for more novels.